I have been having a ton of fun with Marvel's Avengers, but it is probably going to end up being one of the more divisive games of the year. Today, I'm here to talk about the pros and the cons of Marvel's Avengers, since there is a lot to like, but there are also a lot of issues. I feel like this is probably one of the games with the most wasted potential that I have ever played. But if you are interested in seeing me play through these games and not just talk about them in this format, make sure to follow me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/HereBeGabe. Link is in the description. Follow me on Twitter as well, so that you know when I'm going live. We stream a few times a week over there, and we generally have a really fun time building a really positive and cool community. But with all that out of the way, Marvel's Avengers is out now. Even though no one's really talking about it, a lot of people don't really care to stream it on Twitch. It's not doing super hot, and maybe that becomes indicative of how it does sales-wise. Maybe a price drop is coming at some point. I want to talk about the pros and the cons. Let's get into it. I just want to get this out of the way very quickly. There will be no story spoilers here. Obviously, we'll show playable characters, and you should already know who's all playable and who's in the game, but that's about it. Okay, let's get into pro number one, and that is that they nailed the characters. Now, I'm not talking about visually, because obviously people are going to feel how they feel about how the characters look visually. Like, I get it. It might not be for everyone. I personally don't mind the way they look all that much. It doesn't bother me as much as it seems to bother other people, but their interactions with each other are something that Crystal Dynamics definitely has a grasp on, and I feel like they did a really good job with that. Bruce Banner and Kamala Khan in particular have some very touching moments together. I loved what they did with them two. Tony and Kamala also have a few moments. Of course, Hulk and Thor have a few moments. There is a lot of cool stuff that they did with the character. I feel like they understand who these characters are and what their motivations are. Captain America is Captain America with the no cussing, although there's a really cool moment in the game that I won't spoil. So they nailed all of that. It might be a little treading the same waters if you've seen all the movies and stuff, but they nailed it. They really did. I love the characters. The interactions that they have with each other is spot on. The voice actors all did a really good job for me too. It's a star-studded cast. We have Nolan North, we have Troy Baker. It's a really good cast. And outside of visually how you feel about the outfit stuff, they did an awesome job with the characters. Con number one is that combat isn't great on paper. And I say on paper because it does genuinely improve the more you play. The more you level up your characters, the more you unlock the various skill trees. There are 3 different skill trees for you to explore and level up in. There is also a power level. It's all kind of structured like Destiny as far as that, and we'll talk about that more a little bit later. But the combat itself is kind of dull, especially at first. You're just hitting the square button an awful lot, and it doesn't feel good. You are constantly battling the camera. The camera in the game itself doesn't do it any favors. So I feel like the combat would have been greatly improved if they gave us a combo counter. I don't know why they wouldn't make the combat a little bit more like the other superhero games that are already doing this successfully. Notably, Batman with the Arkham series, and more recently, Spider-Man on PlayStation 4. The combat in those games is so satisfying, so good. I don't know why you wouldn't emulate that a little bit more. Here it is just more of a beat 'em up, but I guess that kind of makes sense given the type of game that it is. There are a variety of moves, and again, once you do start leveling up more, you do end up having more fun with it. It just sucks that it's going to take you a while to get there. Moving on to the next pro is that there is a ton to do. First of all, you have a 10+ hour campaign that is single player only. You cannot play the story with friends. And that's actually okay, in my opinion. I don't necessarily need to. I want to soak all of that in on my own. But once you're done with that, you can dive into the multiplayer, and there is so much going on. Now, I do want to let you know that some of the mission structures do get repetitive. That's a thing in games like this. This is a games as a service after all. But if you are the type that has that itch to level up your character, find that next piece of armor, even though in this game, armors don't change what you look like aesthetically. If you are that type of gamer, there's so much going on. There's also the harm room where you can, hone your abilities and practice your combat. There is big giant boss encounters that you can take on with your friends, and of course just continue to try to find the loot, explore the various environments. A lot going on, as you can see. So if you are one of those type of people that wants to find a game to play with your friends, and you guys like exploring and just talking to each other, telling yourselves about each other's days while you just pillage around in a game that has a lot for you to do, this one is going to be right up your alley. This one does not lack content. I can promise you that. Now, is the combat sometimes repetitive? Yes, but there is just so much going on. Speaking of so much going on, sometimes there is just a little too much going on for the game, and there are some technical issues. A lot of frame rate drops when things get busy. The day one patch did fix it. If you played the PC and you thought that was terrible like I did, the day one patch did fix that. At the time of this recording, there was also another small update for the game that I just downloaded that I haven't tested. But the frame rate, man, it gets pretty freaking bad. The resolution itself also gets kind of wonky. At times, the game looks really blurry. There is way too much going on. I can't wait to see what this runs like on PlayStation 5. The loading times are horrible in this. I hope that the next generation of consoles and their fast SSDs really fix this. So yes, there are technical issues. The end of the single player campaign in particular, and I won't show it because of spoilers obviously, but that gets really, really rough, although there are some cool moments in it. And I have to say that the game crashed on me maybe 3 or 4 times where I had to completely restart the game. So be aware of that. Hopefully it all gets patched. Our next pro is that luckily there is a ton of potential here, all the potential in the world. As you guys know, a game, at least these days, kind of just lives and breathes on its own. Seldomly does it get released and then it just kind of goes away. Shout out to Anthem, which this kind of gets compared to a little bit, but although it's not perfect, it's probably not even great right now. They have an opportunity to fix this a lot. And Square Enix has actually done that before with Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. So they have taken feedback in another property before and fixed it, and now people love Final Fantasy XIV. And I kind of hope that that's what happens with Avengers. I know that Anthem is currently also undertaking some changes of its own, and it wants to come back because the core game there is really cool. The gameplay in Anthem is phenomenal, and I feel like they have enough of a structure here. They have enough good here that if they can somehow just work a little bit behind the scenes and bring it out in a different way, it could potentially be one of the cooler games around for me. I love Marvel. I absolutely love Marvel. So all the potential in the world is in this game. We know that DLC is coming. We know that Spider-Man is exclusive. We know that, Hawkeye. We know there's a leaked list of characters out there, and there are so many that I want to see in this game. So this has all the potential in the world to be great. The final con that we are going to talk about today is probably the biggest one for me. And that is, why is this a game as a service? Why did they have to do this? Why couldn't they just make this a single player game that's super cinematic and runs really well and has an awesome story and has the Avengers that it has, and boom, perfect, right? Make it more like the Batman Arkham series. Make it more like Spider-Man. They wasted so much here with the games as a service model. I feel like that's why there's not as many villains in it. That's why we have such a limited roster of Avengers. There's a lot more, and they are going to want to sell that to us. They are going to want to keep us in the ecosystem. They're going to want us to spend dozens and dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of hours with this. I get it. This is where gaming is, but this could have been so much better if it would have just been a more traditional game. It would have ran better. The environments wouldn't have been so repetitive. We would have had more villains and heroes in the game. And they could have focused more on the story, even though the story is already kind of cool. We probably wouldn't have as many technical issues if it didn't just have to be like always online and open. So this being a games as a service, this emulating Destiny, I said I was going to come back to Destiny, and here we are. This emulating it, and maybe I shouldn't say emulating, this copying Destiny is a huge bummer, and it's not something I want. And that for me is the biggest disservice. I wish this game had been designed and developed 15 years ago, because then we would have had something completely different. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, my pros and cons for Marvel's Avengers. It is not a perfect game, but I have been having my share of fun with it. I'll be honest, I love it despite its flaws, and flaws it does have many. Let me know what you think. Are you considering picking it up? Have I swayed you in any direction? Sound off in the comments below. Special shout out to you if you found me through Switchforce. Welcome. I am going to do a lot of the similar type of content that I used to do over there with Zach, but now here with my own little spin. You guys know that it's still all love between Zach and I, no fights or anything like that. I'm on the video, and a lot of you probably found me because of this, that video over there. So, hey, special shout out to y'all. Special shout out to the Twitch viewers. Follow me once again. Twitter, Discord, Twitch, all in the description. Check them out. We're building a cool, fun community, and I hope to see you guys around more often. You guys are great. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Bye.